Thank you all for being here on this scorching hot day. We will try to be concise today. First of all, this is our Monday morning press conference in which we do two things. First, we talk about gun violence over the prior week, and second, we address an important issue that is going on. I'd like to acknowledge some of the community stakeholders, DA staff, and others who are here. We have with us today Robert Listenby, First Assistant District Attorney at the DA's office. We have ADA Andrew Gentleman, who's the supervisor of the Public Nuisance Task Force. That task force is the source of the funding that is used for the grants that we will be announcing today. We have ADA Chesley Lightsey, who is the chief of the Homicide and Non-Fatal Shooting Unit. We have Reverend Myra Maxwell, who is the executive director of the DAO's CARES unit, the unit that provides services to the families of homicide victims and does a few other things. We have with us from the community Joel Seay, who is the co-founder of the Jarell Christopher Seay Love and Laughter Foundation, one of the recipients of grants that we will be announcing today. We have Justus Brown, Justus Brown, who is a youth defender participant in the Jarell Seay Love and Laughter Foundation, and Devin Sistrunk, who is also a participant in the activities of that organization. We have James Jones, who is with the Arts Summer Program Internship. He is the manager at the C.B Community Schools. Daniel Jones, a C.B student at C.B Community Schools. Sarah Shorts, who is the Director of Communications and Development at the C.B Community Schools. We have Brianna Banks, young adult coach of the Kensington Soccer Club. Giancarlo Corredor, youth participant in the Kensington Soccer Club. Kathleen Jones, executive director of the Potter's House Mission. Teresa Leedy, also from Potter's House Mission. And we have a number of distinguished elected officials with us today, partners in the efforts towards prevention in the city that are so crucial right now. We have House Majority Leader Joanna McClinton. If she's not here, she's on her way. We have State Rep Morgan Cephas, Council Member Jamie Gauthier, Council Member Curtis Jones. If he's not here, he's on his way. And we have the Reverend Dr. Ralph Blanks, senior pastor at this beautiful church, the Vine Memorial Baptist Church. I'd like to turn quickly to the topic of gun violence, and this information covers the week June the 19th of 21 through June the 25th of 21. To date, there are 267 homicides through those dates. There were 196 last year. This is a 36% increase. And the statistics continue approximately where they were before, approximately an average of 1.5 homicides per day during the pandemic, as compared to about one homicide per day before the pandemic hit in March of last year. This week, there were a total of 7 homicides and 27 non-fatal shootings. There were also 181 gun or gun violence incidents, 89 arrests made by law enforcement, and from those 89 arrests, 76 cases have been opened and charged so far. Over this weekend, we have seen a series of awful shootings, homicides of different types, as we do so often see. Let me just say that last week I met with a mother, father, and siblings of a young homicide victim who was killed in this community, connecting them with services through the DAO's CARES program. CARES Director, Reverend Myra Maxwell, is standing here with me. DAO staff will work to ensure that we provide support and a sense of justice to the family of that victim once an arrest has been made by the PPD. Victims' families and communities impacted by gun violence can contact our Victim Services and CARES unit for support at 215-686-8019. While our office is committed to holding people accountable when they pull the trigger and when they are involved at any level in gun violence, we are also committed to making sure that there are fewer victims, hopefully no victims, in the future. There's no higher mission for this office than to try to prevent the next victimization by gun violence. And that takes us to our second topic, prevention. Prevention. We have previously announced a series of grants and we have previously committed to spending at least $1 million during this calendar year for the purpose of making grants. I realize it's not that much money. The more exciting news is that we have seen City Council succeed, and many of the public officials who are here today succeed in obtaining approximately $70 million of new money for prevention in the city's budget. This is unprecedented in my history in Philadelphia to see this kind of serious effort towards prevention. It is a lot, and it is also not enough. We'll talk about that. This is supposed to be a public and a private initiative to get at the roots of gun violence, to pull up some of those roots. That's what it's supposed to be. Well, thank you to our public officials. This is a wonderful step forward. And now it's time for our private officials to play their part, as they did in Chicago, as they've done in Los Angeles, as they've done other places. It is time for our private companies that are headquartered here in Philadelphia to find their $70 million. And it is also time for some of our large nonprofits in this city to find their $70 million. Nonprofit organizations enjoy certain tax breaks that the rest of us don't enjoy. There are giant corporations in the city that have enjoyed some remarkable tax breaks that mom and pop business owners don't enjoy. Well, it's time to pay it forward. We are asking you to join us. We're asking you to come with us. We're asking you to match that 70 with your 70. To work together to do that, we will work with you, and we will be knocking on your doors, politely making those requests. But make no mistake, this is a responsibility that you have. It's a responsibility that you need to pay forward. And this community is here not only to thank you for your participation, but to hold you accountable, private industry, to hold you accountable, well-funded nonprofits, if you don't listen to what the community needs. So we certainly hope that you will. I am now delighted to talk about the next round of recipients of grants. So the process for anyone who is interested in obtaining grants, because we have more money. In our last announcement, we distributed a total, I believe, of $125,000 in 5 grants. This series of grants is 4, and a total of $82,500. Well, we got a lot left on that million. We're only up a little bit north of $200,000. There's a lot more money there. We want to get it out to worthy organizations, 501c3s that are doing good work in the community. Often that work has not been properly funded. We want to get it out. We want to get it out now. We wanted to get it out for the summer. So if you are connected with such an organization, please let them know that the way to apply is through the Philadelphia Foundation. Philadelphia Foundation is a respected organization in Philadelphia that is vetting all of the applicants, that is making recommendations to us on the applicants, and that is making sure the money goes where it was intended to go. It's not that hard to apply. Grant-making services at philafound.org. Let me say that again. This is the email where you can apply for grants. We will have more rounds of grants, and we will have them soon. So please apply as soon as possible. Grant-making services at philafound.org. Philadelphia Foundation. It's grant-making services at philafound.org. So let me now, if I may, very briefly, because it is hot, introduce the first of our 4 recipients of a grant. I'm not going to describe at length the good work that these people do, because I'd rather have you hear it from them, their directors, and the people who are served by it. First group I would like to introduce is the Jarell Christopher Seay Love and Laughter Foundation. I'd like to call forward Joel Seay, co-founder, Justice Brown, a youth defender participant, and Devin Sistrunk, also a participant. This is a $10,000 grant toward this organization. Would you all come forward, please? All right, and now I would like to invite all 3 of these good people to make a few remarks on what the organization does and how it serves the community. Would you come forward, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Seay, and I'm the co-founder of the Jarell Christopher Seay Love and Laughter Foundation. We lost Jarell to gun violence on April 24th, 2011, and from that moment on, we had an obligation to our family, to our community, to do something, not to just sit there and cry and mope, but we had to do something. So we decided to start the Jarell Foundation, the Jarell Seay Foundation, in which we go around. We started out, we go around and we was teaching gun violence from the daycares to the colleges. We went and talked to everybody about how important it was to get involved and to do something. So our organization grew. We started working with the schools. We was marching. We did everything that you can do. I joined every organization in the city. A lot of folks know me because I marched. I put my time in. But it's still more than that. We need money to help these children out here to do stuff. So that's why the Jarell Seay Foundation, we have the LIP program, we have the Defenders program. That's one of our newest programs that we do. And we go and we talk to our community about gun violence. We talk to young people. We try to encourage them to come and be a part of defending our community against gun violence and everything that's wrong. And we're trying to instill what's right and love into our children, and that they can take it back out on the front line. They are frontline soldiers, is our schools, our children. And we need them out here working every day. So we got jobs for them. We do Black history for our children at the Defenders program. We do social services as far as going and helping our elderly, cleaning up parks. We go on trips. Our children need to get out from out of the neighborhood and do something, and to just, bring their awareness that it's just not the streets. It's a big world out there, and there's so much that y'all can do. So I got a couple of my defenders here with me today. I'm not going to take up all the time because you need to hear from them. I'm the old school. I'm just helping them to stand where I'm standing and put them in charge of what we started. So first of all, I want to ask Justice to come up and take it from there. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justice Brown. I've been working with the Youth Defenders program for about a year now, and I've been working with the Jarell Christopher Seay Love and Laughter Foundation for about 5 years now. One thing that has benefited me from the program is being able to learn. Knowledge really is power, and so not only learning about how to stay safe with all the gun violence in the world, but learning about Black history and my history is really great. Also with the COVID pandemic, it's hard to make new friends as well as keep the ones that you already have, being able to keep in touch with them. So having a safe haven to go to, not only to learn, but to make new friends and to keep in touch with those friends is really nice. I am very grateful for that we got the opportunity to receive this grant, and I'm very grateful that Mr. and Mrs. Seay have taken me under their wing as one of their students and participants of the Youth Defenders program.
So I lost my brother to gun violence on actually today, June 28th, back in 2009, and we joined the Jarell's Foundation. We joined the Seay Foundation shortly after, and it changed my entire life. It changed the trajectory of my life. We learned about everything related to gun violence and awareness at a young age, and I feel like that's really important. Of the Defenders program, over the last year, I've been a part of that, and I think it's really important that they teach representation, like Justice said. We learn about our history. We learn about people who did important things, from way back in the 1800s up until today. The Defenders program and everything about the Seay Foundation, we go into schools, we go into the old people's facilities, we go marching throughout the neighborhood. We teach people about these things so that at a young age, people can learn that there are better things to do. We give them activities so that instead of running around in the streets, they have places to go to. They have things that they can do with their family, things that they can do with their friends of all ages. The Jarell Christopher Seay Love and Laughter Foundation, it inspired me to create my own brand, Peace, Love, and Positivity. It's really crazy because everything that they do here is meant for us, is meant for the community, is meant to uplift each other. You know, it's all about the awareness. You know, without awareness, we can't do anything. You know, we need to act on things. Gun violence is a plague, is an understatement to call it anything less. And to learn at a young age on how to prevent, on how to properly use guns, on how to properly avoid them, to see what goes on, the ins and outs of our communities, and have things and know what we can do about it to make changes in our communities from a young age is very powerful. And I can't ask for anything better out of the foundation. Thank you.
Beautifully stated. Thank you. Thank you to Mr. Seay, but also to Justice and to Devin for their excellent comments. All right, we'd now like to call forward C.B Community Schools, specifically James Jones, who is the Art Summer Program Internship Manager, Daniel Jones, who is a C.B Community School student, and Sarah Schwartz, who is the C.B Director of Communications and Development. This is a grant for $27,500. All right, thank you, and if you would now come forward and make a few remarks, we would appreciate it.
Good morning. My name is James Jones. I'm the art instructor for C.B Community Schools. I want to first and foremost thank the City of Philadelphia and the DA's office for this generous grant. For the second year in a row, we will be doing summer programming that is focused on the creative expression of our students. Last year, a lot of our work was done focused on the mental health aspects that a lot of our students face going through the COVID pandemic. A lot of our students became disengaged because we had to switch to virtual and hybrid learning models, which really gave us a lot of trouble trying to connect with our students. And it was really powerful to be able to welcome them back into the building and give them a chance to express some of the thoughts about what they were going through, both in the wake of the pandemic and in the wake of all the social upheaval that we experienced last summer. And the grant that we received will go a long way in being able to help us reconnect for our second year to try to, again, give our students a voice and be able to talk about what's going on in their community and give them a constructive outlet and things to do with their out-of-school time. So again, we want to thank you all.
Hi, my name is Daniel Jones. I'm a student at CB. I've been at CB for about 4 years now. At my time at CB, I've realized that there are a lot of things that this school can do to help, bring kids out of the streets. When I was younger, I lost a best friend to gun violence, and it took a toll on me because, at that time, I was getting into the things that he was doing, and I never had a lot of opportunities after school, because after school, no programs, nothing like that to, get me out of the streets and stop doing stuff that I was doing, which made me lose my best friend. But at CB, there's never not enough things that you can do there. This grant will help bring kids into the school more often, get them opportunities, stay out the streets. It's like I said, it's never enough things that the school does not do. I really appreciate this opportunity for this grant. Gives kids a better chance to, express themselves in art, come to school more often. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
You want to say something? No? Okay. All right, thank you so much for that. We would now like to provide our third grant. This is a grant to Potter's House Mission. I'm going to ask Kathleen Jones, Assistant Executive Director, and Teresa Leedy to come forward. I will let them describe the organization, but in West and Southwest, their mission has a lot to do with homelessness and poverty, necessary social services, issues close to my heart. And this is a $10,000 grant. Would you come forward, please?
Good afternoon to everyone. Just to give you a little insight about Potter's House Mission, we've been housing homeless women and children for over 22 years. And here lately we've taken on the initiative. It's called the Youth Revival Initiative. And we've a committee comprised of Raymond Jones from Senator Vincent Hughes' office, also the 18th Police District, Officer Bachman, Community Relations Officer, and also from the Philly Youth Global Student Union, Fred and Katie, who will actually be called KD. We've been meeting, and our aim is to, and main focus is to help youth off the street. We have also initiatives, provide apprenticeships, and working with the Philadelphia trade unions for training opportunities, and also case management, social services, all kinds of activities. We've been doing trips to get the youth off the streets for the past 18 years. We take them out to the city of Philadelphia. And one of my staff, she sort of kind of was grieving after she heard some of the remarks about youth being killed in the streets. Her nephew was killed a few months ago, so she kind of stepped back and went to the side. But I want to let you know that it's necessary. So I'm putting a call out to the religious community, the church communities, to step up and get involved, because the city of Philadelphia needs you. They're calling for your help. They said, come on, do something to help get the youth off the streets, allergies, and crime prevention. So I urge you to please step forward. And they gave the email to apply to get grants. And I'm even putting a call out to Bethel Deliverance Church, come on, because they do so much good work for the city. So I want to thank you for this opportunity, but please step up. Let's all do it together. There's a work together that we all can do. We need you. Step forward. The children need you. The youth need you. There's too much bloodshed in the streets. There's blood crying from the streets. You can hear it every day. Blood crying for help. Resolutions. So let's all step in and do our part. God bless you.
Thank you so much for those remarks. And finally, the fourth of our 4 grants today goes to the Kensington Soccer Club. This is an organization that engages 1,500 young people. And maybe that number is even low. I'll let them answer that. But 1,500 people, and it does a lot more than soccer. Soccer may be what brings everyone together, but I have read through all of these applications. And soccer, in some ways, is the purpose, but in some ways it's really the excuse. For mentoring, it's the excuse. For community building, it's the excuse. For trying to help young people who are sometimes in a difficult place to turn a corner. And so I am delighted to present $35,000 in grant money to the Kensington Soccer Club. And now I'd like to ask Michael Kane, Brianna Banks, and Giancarlo Corredor to come forward and say a few words, if you would, please.
As the DA stated earlier, Kensington Soccer services roughly around 1,500 kids over the past a little more than a decade. And since I've been a part of the organization for the past 5 years, I've noticed that Kensington Soccer does more than just coach soccer. It breaks down racial barriers. It breaks down cultural barriers. It provides kids a place safe to play, while they also provide, instruction and many other things. Along with me, I have Brianna Banks and Juan Carlo, and they're going to speak from an experience from their point of view with what Kensington Soccer does present and give to the community. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Brianna Banks, and I've been coaching with Kensington Soccer since 2013, I believe. I'm now 22 years old, and Kensington has greatly benefited me. So Kensington has helped me go through college as well as play semi-pro soccer. I was recruited by a scout playing for Kensington and coaching at the same time, and they noticed, I really like this girl. Maybe she can come out and play for us. I was a 4-year first-time team All-American and 4-year player of the year. And once I graduated from college, I went off to play semi-pro, which I still currently play thanks to Kensington for funding, for the equipment, the fields, and things like that. And Kensington overall has just been a great experience. I really believe that soccer is the safe space, and Kensington will continue to be a safe space for all kids to help them in their career paths. I am now currently at Westchester University obtaining my social work degree because I want to help children who are neglected in areas without any resources. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Giancarlo, and I've been playing with KSC for about 8 years. So, let me start it. So, I started playing soccer because it was the one thing I could do every day, and I would not get bored of it. From the beginning until now, I've tried to play soccer every day. In doing so, I've met friends who are also my mentors. Many of them are older than me and give me good advice and tips. I've always been committed to soccer and prioritized it over everything, so I never really had time for anything but school. Thanks to KSC, I was not only able to play soccer for an affordable price, I was also given the opportunity to coach and pass on what I was taught to the youth. My goals in life are to 1, play professional soccer, and 2, pass on the advice and life lessons that were passed on to me. Thank you.
All right, in the interest of time, given that we are all in 90 degrees, I have not invited up First Assistant Listenby and ADA Drew Gentleman to speak at this time, but I do want to acknowledge the important work that they are doing with the Philadelphia Foundation and the important work that ADA Gentleman has done not only to obtain these forfeiture funds in ways that are legal and appropriate, but also to assist in this process of making sure they go back into the community to do constructive work. I would now like to invite in this order forward the following elected officials or their representatives. There's no obligation that you all come up, but we'd love to hear from all of you. And I will introduce all 5 of you and then ask you to come up one after the other without my jumping up in between. They are first Councilmember Jamie Gauthier of the 3rd Councilmanic District, Councilmember Curtis Jones Jr. of the 4th Councilmanic District, House Majority Leader Joanna McClinton of the 191st Legislative District, State Representative Morgan Cephas of the 192nd Legislative District, and then, although he's not an elected official, he's one of my favorite people, the Reverend Dr. Ralph Blanks, Senior Pastor at Divine Memorial Baptist Church. And after those 5 individuals or their representatives speak, then we will take questions from the media.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Councilmember Jamie Gauthier, and I represent Philadelphia's 3rd District. I want to thank District Attorney Krasner for bringing us all together here today and for his continuing efforts to address our city's urgent gun violence crisis. And thank you to Reverend Blanks for hosting us today as well. The DA is our city's top prosecutor, but today's announcement shows that his team understands that enforcement is just one piece of the puzzle when we talk about addressing gun violence. Because addressing this crisis is also about violence prevention and violence interruption. There is plenty of evidence from cities around the world that investments in street-level outreach can be incredibly effective in calming tense situations before they become violent. And prevention is also about connecting young people to the services and supports that they need to get their lives on a different path. And there's no one better equipped to engage in this prevention and intervention work than grassroots organizations and initiatives. So that's why the grants that the DA's office is announcing today is so very important. The 4 organizations awarded here today are doing the work day in and day out. They know our kids, they know our neighborhoods, and they know what keeps people safe and out of trouble. I can't imagine a more deserving group of community partners to receive these awards. I want in particular to shout out Potter's House Mission, an organization in my very own district, and the Jarell Seay Love and Laughter Foundation, which isn't technically in the 3rd district, but serves a lot of our youth. Thank you all so much for everything that you do. These grants from the DA's office are significant, but City Hall needs to do its part as well in supporting these organizations. And that's why I'm so pleased to share that last week, the City Council approved a new budget that makes a historic investment towards ending gun violence in our city. $68 million of new investment will go towards programs and services that will stabilize our neighborhoods, prevent violence, improve families' lives, and address the trauma that has been circulating through our communities. And of that $68 million, $20 million will be distributed through grants to grassroots organizations like the ones being awarded here today. That's 10 times the amount that we were previously given to groups like these who have been on the ground for years doing the work to save lives, to heal, and to build community. And as significant as this new investment is, it can't be a one-time thing. It is my hope that our city realizes that we have to make these type of investments every year to alleviate gun violence in our city. We need to treat this issue as if our lives depend on it, because for far too many people in Philadelphia, that's the absolute truth. And so with that, I'll say thank you again to the DA's office and congratulations to all of the organizations receiving grants today. I look forward to continuing to work alongside you to bring peace to our neighborhoods. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Tyrone Sims. I'm here on behalf of Madam Leader Joanne E. McClinton. Sorry that she couldn't be here. She tried to get here. Her and her colleague Morgan Cephas and them been up in Harrisburg all week, even on the weekends, fighting for that budget up there for our neighborhoods. So I thank you for that as well. Rep, Councilwoman's been on the front line with me down at 56th Street. But Madam Leader is with the with the DA's office, 100%, and thank you, Mr. DA. I've never seen a DA so much since I've been in this city of Philadelphia, in a community like this. He deserves a round of applause, y'all. He's coming to our community and helping small organizations like this as well. So Madam Leader is behind him 100% with his office and the things that he's doing. She's behind these community groups, here, the small nonprofit organizations is not recognized, and he is recognizing us. So on behalf of State Representative and Madam Leader Joanne McClinton, we're behind you and we're with the community groups, and I thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I am State Representative Morgan Cephas, and I have the distinct pleasure of representing the 192nd Legislative District, of which you are in. I first want to thank District Attorney Larry Krasner for really being intentional and expanding your role from being just our top cop here, but also understanding the need to address violence in our city from the root causes and not just through the symptom. Also want to thank our Reverend and our entire faith-based community for rolling up your sleeves and understanding your unique position to play a role in moving the needle on this issue. So honestly, I'm truly excited to finally be at a press conference where I do not have to wear a mask. I'm completely vaccinated, so super excited to be able to stand a little bit closer to our colleagues. But one of the things I want to really mention is this: over this past year, we've watched the government go into action to curb the spread of the coronavirus. You've seen they establish ground-based systems to provide testing and vaccines everywhere, to the point where at every corner you have been able to get a vaccine. You've seen the vaccine developed and approved in less than a year, something that has been unheard of in this country. You've seen millions and millions of dollars. You've seen the government step up to pay for rent subsidies, hazard pay, to give people a fair wage, to provide PPE, to fund our unemployment system. God forbid, to set up a virtual education system. You've seen the government do that in a matter of a year. So when they say government can't solve problems, they can solve problems. They solve the problems that they want to. I started my career a couple of years back, and right before I took the oath of office up in Harrisburg, I unfortunately had to talk to the mother of Bernard Scott, who was a 9th grader at the time, who lost his life to senseless gun violence, innocent bystander, at a recreation center across the street from his school, Overbrook High School. Unfortunately, during COVID-19, just last year in August, I had to talk to the grandmother of Zamar Jones, which was a 7-year-old that lost his life while on the porch due to gun violence. And the grandmother had just told myself and Councilman Jones a week before that she needed to get her grandkids off that block. So this is not a new issue. This is an issue that we watch people get killed on basketball courts, at local recreation centers, hanging outside. Far too often our communities have gotten used to hearing gunshots. Students, I had to be on a Zoom call with Overbrook High School students as they are challenged with our education system during COVID. They also had to deal with the loss of 3 of their classmates during a pandemic. We've also had to see gun casings on the floor across our communities. But most importantly, a lot of our communities can get access to a gun before they can get access to fresh fruit. So we all know the problem. But it's important as we work on solutions that we're not, again, just addressing the symptoms, but getting to the root causes of the problem. And that is what our district attorney is doing. So I do applaud him for making portions of his budget, because you do not have to put your money back into the community. And that is something that he's doing today. So I congratulate him. I congratulate all of the organizations that are getting these resources. But I'm also congratulating and thanking City Council for also stepping up. As Councilwoman Gauthier said, putting their money where their mouth is, being a part of the solution and being innovative and ensuring that dollars go into the community to grassroots organizations that live this issue every single day, in and out, through and through. And last but not least, I would also like to thank my colleagues up in Harrisburg, especially Minority Leader Joanna McClinton, who helped to secure additionally $30 million for the city to help support these efforts as well. So similar to how I started, as we watch government come together, move the needle, and to really address COVID-19, we need to take that same approach in addressing gun violence. And today is just the start. Today is just an initial commitment, but this is something that we're are going to continue to be invested in as we move forward. So again, thank you for all your work, DA. Thank you to all of the organizations, and I'm looking forward to what we can do in the future to continue these efforts. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome to the parking lot of Divine Memorial Baptist Church on Monday morning, a very hot, humid, but yet bright, sunny day, which is symbolic of what biblical writer said long ago, that surely there is a hope and a future for all of us. Underlying all that has been said and done and presented here today is underlined by hope and by future, not only for you and for me, but for each and every one of our children and their children's children to come. We take this opportunity to express further words of thanks and appreciation to D.A. Krasner and for inviting us to host this weekly press conference. We thank you, sir, for your committed vision to bring your office along with resources, and I emphasize that, along with resources to the local community. And further words of appreciation and thanksgiving to each one of the organizations that have been lifted up here today. We thank you for the work that you do down in the trenches with our brothers and sisters throughout the communities on a daily basis. You reinforce the truth that some things can only be done by us, for us, with us. And I certainly want to encourage you to keep that before you and to continue to invest, and then invest some more in your communities. If you don't do it, who's going to do it for you, and who's going to do it for us? God give you that much more strength, courage, and stamina as you continue on the way. And you further represent the partnership that exists between the community, the church, and local government. And as we continue to hold hands and work together, sing together, and pray together, there is indeed hope, and there is a future for all of us. I am not here by myself. I did not put everything together by myself. I'm joined by a number of the officers and members of Vine Memorial Baptist Church. Would you just raise your hands where you are? Our deacons, our trustees, our nurses, our ushers, our media people, and we thank God also for the community people who have come to be a part of this time. Again, thank you, D.A. Krasner, and your office for all that you do, and we continue to pray for your strength as well as your courage and a double portion of stamina.
Thank you kindly to all the speakers for their heartfelt, genuine comments. Let me just say one thing before we go straight to questions, if there are any questions. This might sound like a lot of money, right? $35,000, $27,500, a total of $82,500. Let's remember something. The price of having one person unnecessarily in a jail cell is more than $50,000. So what we are talking about here reflects the way that this city, recently the most incarcerated of the 10 largest cities in the United States, while simultaneously being the poorest, represents where the money should have gone and where it went. This is an improvement. This is what we have to do. Obviously, there is a place for long sentences, appropriately lengthy sentences for serious conduct, including conduct around gun violence. But there is no place for keeping homeless people in jail for years at a time because they stole food again because they don't have food. There never was a place for that. And this is how we get at that. Are there any questions? Yes, please. Well, let me say this. There is a press conference today being led by the black clergy. I believe it's at 1 o'clock at the Cato statue, in which black clergy will be making certain specific requests. I am a leader of nothing. I am a follower of a grassroots movement for prevention and for reform. And so I'm here to serve the community as they make this request. In the same way, a lot of us were walking around saying $100 million for prevention. That didn't come from us. That came from community groups, what they were saying in public. So I am not here to get picky about the specifics. I am here to say that my office will fully support efforts to do in Philly what has already been done in Chicago, what has already been done in LA. There is no reason why we should turn to government and expect government to do everything when there are so many academic institutions, some of which have endowments that may be in the billions of dollars that will benefit from a reduction in gun violence. There are so many major corporations in Philadelphia that have benefited from huge tax breaks given by the taxpayers and residents of this city, that we can all work together, we can all hold hands, and we can all move forward together. But yes, we are going to be calling on some organizations to help us, to lead it, and we are all going to watch and see what they do. And it is the community that's going to decide how to address it if they're not willing to do what we hope they will do, which is to join us. That will be up to how the community determines it should be. I don't expect it's going to go into any DA fund. I expect it would go either into some sort of a community-led foundation, possibly within the city. But honestly, there's a pretty big outcry in the community for there to be community voices determining where this money goes, so it doesn't all go to the usual suspects. Are there any other questions? Let me just make a couple suggestions. I'm no communications whiz, but let me make a couple suggestions. The work these people are doing is great. It is great work. We might talk about small organizations. The work they're doing is huge. You can cover that work. These are not people who've been lifted up and given a spotlight and given credit for what they've done. This is the weirdest day for them because finally, lo and behold, they're getting a little credit, right? You can give them that credit. You can put it out on social media. You can let them be seen. So that instead of having 1,500 kids involved in soccer, maybe it becomes 3,000 with funding to support it. And I don't mention that one organization to the detriment of the others. Every one of these organizations is absolutely crucial. Why, hello.
After you're done, I have something I want to add.
Well, why don't you do it now?
I wanted to add that in addition to covering more of the prevention work, I would really like to see the media cover gun violence as an issue in a much deeper and more thoughtful way. The media tends to focus on body counts, the number of shootings. The media always wants to talk to the police commissioner, who obviously has an important role in this, but I'd like to see the media focus more on root causes. What's at the bottom of what's causing shootings in our neighborhood? What are these people's lives like on both sides of the gun? I think shedding more light on that will allow us as a city, and force us as a city to address this more as a public health issue and not just as a crime or enforcement issue. So.
Thank you for that. One final suggestion, and this is consistent with Councilmember Gautier's comments. It's not hard for the media to look up what are the best funded nonprofits in Philly. It's not hard to look up who has massive headquarters in Philly. It's not hard to look at your bills when they show up at your house, and I'll let you figure out the rest of it. Why don't you have a conversation with some of that leadership? Why don't you have a conversation with some of that leadership in private industry, some of that leadership in, for example, educational institutions that may have endowments in the billions of dollars? Why don't you have a conversation with them and see where they are? Because you can be part of a process of not distracting, but supporting discussion around root causes of violence prevention and how we can actually make sure people are not injured. All right, are there any other questions? It is getting hot and it is getting late. All right, there being no other questions, thank you so much for attending. We really appreciate your being here and all of your being here.